Good evening. Students in Exeter are being urged to support a campaign called Girls' Night In and boycott bars and clubs for the night. The aim is to get venues to take the issue of women's safety more seriously, and it comes after a woman reported being spiked with a needle at a nightclub in the city. Well, tonight we hear from one of her friends who was with her at the time. She's been speaking to Bob Cruz.
The fear of having a drink spiked with drugs or strong alcohol in clubs and bars is nothing new, but recent reports of women being injected with needles on a night out has brought the issue into the spotlight. There have been several suspected cases in Exeter. One first-year university student I spoke to today says her friend is sure she was jabbed with a needle when they were out last Wednesday night. She became completely unresponsive in under 5 minutes.
All she told me was that she was hugged very tight by someone that she didn't recognise. So I went outside and I got my phone torch on and checked her back, and I saw an injection site, just a red dot that I thought that, I recognise when, I've had vaccinations and needles before. So immediately my gut instinct was to ring 999. The police kindly drove me and my friend to the hospital where she was completely out of it. And she was just lying down on my lap and was just like, I can't see anything, which was obviously I could see it was kind of deteriorating, her condition. You've heard all the stories about spiking. You'd never think it's going to happen to you or any of your friends until that night.
A urine test in hospital could find no trace of drugs in her system, so they still don't know exactly what happened to her. It has, though, raised the wider issue of drink spiking, and campaigners are calling for people to boycott bars and clubs in Exeter tonight for what they're calling Girls' Night In.
I've been campaigning against drink spiking since 2005, so I actually welcome this because at the end of the day, it's a movement. And as much as I don't want people to stop going to pubs and nightclubs, just for one night to prove a point and to make the industry aware that this is happening in their venues, I think we have to welcome it.
They're calling for venues to have specific welfare officers on site, someone safe to talk to other than bar staff and bouncers, particularly for students who can be more vulnerable as they're often living away from home.
It's so imperative that they feel like they can go out without having to risk assess every single moment of their enjoyment, especially after the year and a half that we've had of not socialising like we want to. It's really important that students feel safe and feel able to let go a little bit without feeling like they have to compromise their own safety.
Many bars do now have instant drink testing kits on site. Devon and Cornwall Police has been leading the way on this nationally, but campaigners say the message they want clubs to understand through the Girls' Night In boycott is they still don't feel safe going out. Bob Cruz, ITV News, Exeter.
A Cornwall Council public health official has backed calls for more restrictions to help combat rising COVID rates in the region. As the county welcomes thousands of visitors for half-term, the number of people testing positive is higher than the national average. Marina Jenkins reports.
With the sun shining in Falmouth, half-term is off to a good start. And the National Maritime Museum is expecting a very busy week ahead.
Morning, we're all booked in.
Visitors are strongly encouraged to wear face masks, and a number of other COVID safety measures are in place.
We manage numbers through our online booking system so that there are even and quite small manageable numbers throughout the day, so it doesn't get too crowded, everyone feels comfortable. We feel that we've done everything that we can in order to keep our visitors safe, as well as keeping the experience as enjoyable and as fun as possible.
COVID cases have dropped slightly in Cornwall to 536 per 100,000 people. But that's still higher than the national average of 483. Cornwall's public health team says the situation is fragile, and it's now time for the government to make mask wearing mandatory once again.
Face coverings is actually a really valid control measure, and it does work. We do now know that it does reduce the level of transmission that is out there, and it reduces people's likelihood of actually catching it. So yeah, I personally would feel that would be a positive move.
Holidays mean more visitors and footfall in the high street, but it's left to individual businesses to decide on what COVID safety rules they want to enforce.
So I do actually wish there was a straight line so everyone knew where they stood. I would say
20% come through the door that aren't actually wearing masks, but the majority are. And I've noticed, especially when it's holiday season, more people wear masks.
This coffee shop has stood proudly in Falmouth for 15 years, and the past few months have been some of their busiest. But the ambiguity around the rules means it hasn't always been plain sailing.
I think that if the lines are blurred and the government hasn't said you have to do this, people won't do it. There'll always be someone who goes, well, I don't have to. And then we can either not serve them and lose the money or have a confrontation with them. And it's just hard, especially if your staff are quite young. They don't want to be like, excuse me, can you put your mask on? They want to just do their job.
It's an ongoing struggle for businesses between making money, protecting staff and customers, and keeping the community safe. Marina Jenkins, ITV News.
The last remaining high street bank on the Isles of Scilly will shut next year. The Lloyd's branch on St Mary's will close its doors for the final time in 2022, and it means people will have to use their local post office instead. The bank blames changes in customer behaviour for closing it down. A girl has been taken to hospital with burns to her back after being assaulted outside a school in Truro. Police, who were called to Penair School on Thursday, say her injuries are not thought to be life-threatening, and a 15-year-old boy arrested on suspicion of assault has been released on bail. Now, a woman from Somerset has unexpectedly found herself becoming a social media influencer after gaining more than 45,000 followers online. Jo Tucker lost her hair to alopecia and started an Instagram account as a way of sharing style advice. Adam Grierson reports.
If you're a friend of Jo Tucker's, you can be forgiven for having to do a double take as you pass her in the street, checking to see if it's definitely her. The mum of three revels in being able to change her look as the mood takes her, and her style tips and videos have gained her tens of thousands of followers online.
So it's a mixture of things. I try and educate people as much as possible on caring for their wig, or how to wear it, how to put it on, what to look for. Just because I really believe that if you choose to wear a wig, usually it's around circumstances of something happening, hair loss, illness. But if you can have a positive experience from wearing wigs, alternative hair, mentally it helps just to kind of save you that little bit, I think.
But becoming a social media influencer and advising people about the best wigs on the market was not necessarily where Jo saw her life going.
So I lost my hair it was over the Christmas period of 2017, and my hair fell in 2 weeks from a patch this kind of size to it coming out in handfuls every day. And I went back to work in a wig, and I made the decision to start wearing wigs straight away because I didn't feel ready to be bald. And so the day that I got the wig, I started the Instagram.
Jo was diagnosed with alopecia universalis, and while she was fortunate not to have any other serious health problems, she found little could be done about the hair loss. The wigs and her now popular Instagram account have become a brilliant outlet.
I'd found this way of reinventing yourself almost every day by just wearing different hair, so it became addictive quite quickly.
With her followers still growing, Jo might have to dedicate even more time to her life as an influencer. After all, being a fashion icon is a full-time job. Adam Grierson, ITV News.
And a Devon farm will be providing Downing Street with its Christmas tree this year. Malden Christmas Tree Farm was named Champion Tree Grower after winning a national competition. All right, weather time. Here's Helen.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV West Country weather.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. Well, a sharp gear change for the second half of the working week, when we get increasingly wet, windy weather taking over. But for now, it's at least comparatively much drier, brighter and remarkably mild over the next couple of days too. Still a couple of showers knocking around out there over the coming hours, yes, but they fizzle away, revealing those clear, starry skies. And despite all of that, our temperatures still holding up in double figures in lots of built-up spots. So that really is quite something for the end of October. Notice what's heading into the western tip of Cornwall by dawn though. This is the tail end of a passing frontal system, bringing thicker cloud, outbreaks of rain, dribs and drabs of dampness, especially on the highest ground. But notice that does break up as it pushes its way eastward. So really by the afternoon, for lots of us, it's dry, it's fine, and even the most stubborn clouds are lifting to reveal some lovely sunny skies from time to time. A little bit breezy if you're in coastal areas, but look at those temperatures, 16 to 18 degrees fairly comfortably, and this is how far above average we are for this point. So Exeter topping out at 18 degrees tomorrow, not to be sniffed at, and staying dry until the end of Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV West Country weather.
And that's how the West Country is looking this Monday evening. Plenty more, of course, on our website, but for now, from the Late Team, it's good night.